Okay, the meeting is all yours.
Welcome to the Lyon Township Planning Commission meeting for Monday, August 24th, 2020. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, excellent. Kelly, if you take roll, please.
Jim Chuck,
Yes, present.
Michael Conflitti,
Here.
Stefan Hoffman,
Yes.
Ron Pennington,
Here.
Kurt Radke,
Here.
Carl Town.
Here.
All right. If we could have a motion to excuse Patricia.
I'll make a motion to excuse Patty.
Support.
Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Radke, correct?
Yes. Support.
Support. Kelly, if you take roll on that.
Kurt Radke,
Yes.
Carl Town,
Yes.
Stefan Hoffman,
Yes.
Ron Pennington,
Yes.
Jim Chuck,
Yes.
Michael Conflitti.
Yes. Approval of tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
If there are no changes.
Okay, who approved that? Mr.
I
Chuck?
made the motion. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Support.
Support by Mr. Radke. Carl? I'm sorry, Carl. Kelly, you take roll. Carl, you can take roll.
Carl Town,
Yes.
Ron Pennington,
Yes.
Kurt Radke,
Yes.
Jim Chuck,
Yes.
Michael Conflitti,
Yes.
Stefan Hoffman.
Yes.
Approval of consent agenda, August 10th, 2020 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
A motion by Mr. Chuck. Who supported?
Mr. Radke.
Mr. Radke. Okay. Leslie. I'm sorry, Kelly. I was looking at Leslie.
Jim
I'll get it
Chuck,
right. Are you new here?
Jim Chuck,
Yes.
Ron Pennington,
Yes.
Michael Conflitti,
Yes.
Kurt Radke,
Yes.
Stefan Hoffman,
Stefan? He must be muted.
he's muted.
He's gazing.
Yes. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Carl Town.
Yes.
Very good. Brian, we're going to open up to the public. Is anyone in the waiting room?
We have one person who's called in, but nobody has raised their hand to speak.
Okay.
If you would like to speak, 5525 and press *9. Okay, nobody has raised their
Nobody.
hand.
Okay. All right. I don't believe it's Tina here tonight. Yes?
Yes.
Oh,
Hello. You ready for me?
I can't see you, but yes.
We are ready.
Okay. I'm actually going to be sharing my screen if I can pull it up. Oh boy, where'd it go? Let's see.
Oh, there's Kurt. You're sharing. Oh, I thought Kurt was on your screen.
Mhm.
Here, let me do that. You can see that, right? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I am sharing with you guys this evening a big campaign that we've been working on, and we being the Chamber of Commerce, the Kensington Valley Chamber of Commerce, and also the City of South Lyon, my counterpart in their DDA, and some other folks, some volunteers, and also the promotions committee with Lyon Township. So we had done a survey, and I shared that I think a couple of meetings back with our business owners, asking them during this COVID crisis, what are some of the top priorities that they have that they want to address, and what are some of the issues or challenges that they're facing. And one of the number one items was marketing and advertising. So it's really difficult during this crisis to just keep people appraised of what's going on, letting folks know what restaurants are open, are they dine in, are they carry out, if there's a retail store, what are their hours, all of that. And then on top of it, there's just an overall challenge that's being faced by a lot of our businesses. And so what we decided to do is come up with a campaign. And I had shared with you last time images of the feather flags that have been installed throughout our community. You'll see them in the city and also in our downtown core. And we're still in the process of getting about 60 more of those installed along the ring roads. But in addition to the dine local and shop local message that we're trying to spread out, we've also come up with a campaign called Show Your Love for Lyon. So what you're looking at right now is our homepage for the township website. And you'll see here some information about Show Your Love for Lyon. We have a hashtag, Love for Lyon, and a link to take people to the information on that page. You can also access it by going to the downtown development page, and we have it there. And specifically, we have a page that's dedicated just to this campaign. So Show Your Love for Lyon is basically a hyper-focused campaign, getting folks in our community to engage with our businesses where they feel comfortable going to the restaurants, making sure they're ordering carry out, going into our retail stores and service providers like hair salons and other service providers in our area. And there's a way for everyone to get involved. So if you click on Show Your Love for Lyon, you can go to how can the public participate? How do business owners participate? We are actually also going to be selling t-shirts. So here's an example of one of our t-shirts, Show Your Love for Lyon. And what's really cool about this campaign is that we've partnered with Big Frog in Brighton. And if you order these shirts, it's a $20 shirt, $10 or half of the cost comes back to the campaign. And it allows us to continue our marketing efforts to promote our downtowns. There's also a gallery page. We're going to start to add some more pictures here. You can see some of the images of the feather flags. These are I dined local or I shopped local stickers that we're working on. And go back here. Also, our partners in the campaign, and then of course the business survey results. So an example for how to order your t-shirts is it's time to show your love. This is the information from the company that we've partnered with. You can do a QR code to look that information up, or you can type in this link, or you can just go to the order page. And you can see the different type of shirts. There's men's shirts, V-neck shirts, children's sizes. There's also long sleeve. And we actually have masks that also are being promoted, Show Your Love for Lyon. So we're really excited. We're launching this campaign this week. It's also going to have a social media component to it. So we have these signs that have been made up, and we're encouraging people when they're in the place of business, like especially a restaurant or when they're hanging out with their friends, to use these types of signs to take pictures and post them on social media and just try to spread the word about showing our love for Lyon by supporting our local businesses. So we're really excited about this campaign. It's really the first time we've ever worked together with the city and the chamber on these efforts, but we just feel that it's really needed right now. The businesses feel that this is an important way for us to communicate, and we're looking forward to partnering with them throughout the rest of the season. We've also made a couple of changes in the downtown. We did pull some of the picnic tables down from the park. They are now in front of the New Hudson Methodist Church. And we've been partnering with New Hudson Methodist Church. They've been lovely to work with. They helped us put together over 100 feather flags. We had a great assembly line, social distancing there at their place, and just really excited to have folks participating in this campaign. So if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer it. It's really been a major focus of my time and attention right now. Other than the fact that I've also been sharing with our business owners that there's another round of grants available. The deadline was actually today for the Oakland County Together grant for businesses, and it has been extended. So they're giving businesses until September 14th now to apply for that. And part of that too is, a lot of our small business owners actually are parents, and they've been trying to work through all of this, managing everything in addition to also trying to get ready for school. So it's been a really challenging time for everyone involved. But we're just making sure that they're aware that the deadline's been extended and there's an opportunity for them to get a grant up to $10,000. And that would conclude my report.
Thanks, Tina.
Tina, or Mr. Chairman, this is Jim.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Has anyone thought to maybe contact one of the local TV stations? I mean, this is big. It's a great idea. I think they would like a story like this.
Yeah, we actually have a whole media packet that's going out to everyone, and I'm reaching out to our billboard people too to let them know. And the other nice thing too about those T-shirt orders is we're also sending out information to all of our businesses that if they send their logo to Big Frog in Brighton, what they can do is they can put the logo on the back of the shirt. So let's say you have a family of 5, you want to order 5 T-shirts, you can choose what business's logo you want on the back of your shirt. So let's say your family just loves to go to Irwin's. Irwin's might want to have their logo on the back of those shirts. And it's giving the community the opportunity to engage and say, yeah, we want to buy these things because we know it's going to help the businesses, but we also want to have some say in, how we want to promote it.
Because I do know the anchor for Channel 4, Jason Sculthorpe. He lives in South Lyon, and they claim to be the local connection for the metropolitan Detroit. So they just might like a story like this. It's a great idea.
Yeah, you're right. And I think we also have that connection too with Fox 2 News.
Yes, well, we know we do. Yeah, we've got some connections there too.
And then
but anyway, great job. I think it's great. So it should go over well.
Thank you. Last week, the Michigan Downtown Association had us present this concept to one of their webinars, and it went over very well there as well. So
Nice work, Tina. Excellent job.
thank you. Buy your T-shirts.
Thank you, Tina. Anything else, or are you good?
That's it. That
You're good?
concludes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Okay, Brian, if you'd start us off. AP 2016 Hickory Creek Site Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This evening, I don't have a letter prepared for you, as many of the items in our last reviews have been addressed, and I think to the Planning Commission's satisfaction. But to give the public watching us this evening an overview of the project, this is a proposed single-family residential development on the south side of 11 Mile Road, east of Milford Road. 21 proposed units on a total parcel or total project acreage of just under 30 acres. The project itself is underway due to some procedural things and process that has been, there have been some curves thrown, I'll say that. But ultimately today the road has been constructed, and we're looking to consider an average lot size development here. So you have 2 topics to decide on this evening. The first would be a site plan review, and the second would be a recommendation to the township board on a site condominium, which would govern the proposed 21 lots. So, in reviewing the plans, I'm going to pop them up on the screen in case anybody has any questions or concerns about the project. But at the last Planning Commission meeting, the plans that were submitted included the pump house that was moved up along 11 Mile, We received some clarity on the storm easement that McKenna had called out, and understand that this has been constructed as part of the original plans for the property. Much of the conversation revolved around whether or not the existing home on lot 18 is to stay. And so you'll note that in your packet, we've been provided with several examples of the architecture of that's anticipated on the remaining lots. If you had a chance to swing into the office this week, I do have material samples, and I'm happy to show those off as best we can here virtually for some of the materials. And then we also have been provided with some financial analysis from Mr. Elko regarding what it is going to mean to remove this house in terms of the overall project scope from a financial perspective. So with that overview, I would recommend that we open things up to the applicant to see if they have any points that they'd like to hit this evening. But ultimately, I believe that the house on 18 is really our only remaining issue.
I would agree.
Okay, all right, thanks, Brian. Leslie, did you have anything to add?
The only thing to add from the last planning commission is just the question on whether or not the barn will remain on lot 17. Just for our project file, as you're aware, the pump station was relocated to 11 Mile Road per the planning commission's direction. But other than that, we're just like you to reference our review letter dated August 10th.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, anything?
Just wanted to reiterate that Mr. Elko's interest in the property appears to be by land contract, and that would be, it looks to be unit 17 or lot 17 through 21. So at this point, we don't have any information from the actual property owner that they've seen the plans and have approved of what's being requested. If there is a recommendation of approval, I would suggest that it be made contingent upon some kind of documentation from the property owner that they agree with and approve of the plan.
Okay,
Can I clarify something, please?
who's speaking? Who's,
sorry, Paul Noble.
okay, Paul.
Hi.
Well,
The property was paid off quite some time ago to Mr. Burrell. I thought I provided the title insurance and the copy of the deed. It didn't get to you.
A photograph of a deed for looks like the property to the east, maybe lots 1 through 6, maybe even through 16, but it looks like the last meeting we were provided with a land contract that looks like it applies to lots 17 through 21. So if you do have a deed.
I do.
Okay, then if you could submit that, that'd be great.
I do have a mortgage on property, I believe, I can't remember if it's Lake Michigan Credit or Old National, but I do have a mortgage on the property. So I can put that also.
If you could submit the warranty deed, that would be great. We'd appreciate that.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions or comments before we have the applicant? The commission?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Okay. Who's up?
Paul Elko.
Oh, okay.
Need my address too or not?
Please. Yes.
28701 Wintergreen Drive, Farmington Hills 48331. Email address elko@mi.rr.com. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know, it was interesting. You were talking about Irwin's and their 100th year anniversary. And you know, I was thinking before I came to this, I know Patty was very concerned about this house. I remember, you know, when the Canfield property became Lyon Town Center, that she was wistfully thinking about that barn back then. And, you know, the same thing here. This house is a 1902 house. And it was owned, well, when I was very young, probably a baby, by my Aunt Gloria, who was my father's oldest sister, and her husband, Uncle Chuck. We'll just call him Uncle Chuck for that thing. And he owned a tool and die business in Detroit, and he extensively remodeled and redid this house. And then he sold it sometime later. And I'm not sure if Tim Reed, which I think you're all familiar with Tim, used to be an old board member. You know,
No.
dating ourselves. But Tim came along and also spent in a great amount of money. He lived there, spent a great amount of money on the house, but more importantly, spent probably even more money on the barn. And there was a very good article that the South Lyon Herald did on that barn. You know, this would be 15 years ago now. And I think, you know, it was done quite well. So the house has the bones, very, very good bones. Wet plaster walls, cove ceilings, 2 working fireplaces that work just spectacular. That, you know, and we build a lot of houses, and unfortunately, I can't remember the last time I built a real fireplace, and it almost bothers me that we don't, because I truly do enjoy burning wood. So on this project here, you know, there's a personal side of this as well as a financial aspect of this. Now, when we look at this project as a whole, it looks different. But what I am the 5 acres and the 4 legal splits that I have on that right now that I have put into the site condo along with Mr. Freund. So he has his land and I have my land, so that the analysis I sent on the financial part of this shows that it's, you know, I think this is, I've had 3 people, 1 person under contract. I wouldn't close on it because I didn't know where we were going with, you know, when the splits didn't, the approval class, so the splits originally were for 14 and got knocked back to 10, it threw us for a curve. And then when we found that the Oakland County was, you know, had found an issue with our septic, and then there was another one. So it's been a very desirable house to many people, and people have wanted to buy it. So what I have done, in hopes that you'll see that we can make this blend into our new development, is to provide the same plans that I give PJ, Dave, and Tony whenever we apply for a new building permit, so you can take a look at those. I didn't do color renderings so that my architect doesn't have the ability to do that. But I will say this about Tim Reed, is that he may have been structurally a great guy, but when it came to picking colors, I'm not really so sure that I like his yellow. And I plan on repainting the house to white, because I think that would look better than a yellow house. And then probably at the same time, we'll change the shingle colors. I think the shingles are 10, 12 years old, so we're probably getting fairly close to their life expectancy anyway. So, you know, that being the spot, I think you had 4 things you were looking at, and I've tried to address these and things I've sent to Brian. A landscape plan, we had sent in, and this was very rudimentary. I think, Brian, did you see us send this to you today?
I did see it, and it made it into the packet as well.
All right, thank you. So what we're looking at is that there's a ton of asphalt driveway in this property, because it originally went out to 11 Mile Road. And what we're going to do is remove all the asphalt. We're going to put in a concrete pad that comes off of the 2 garage doors, and a sidewalk that goes to the new porch that we're going to add by the new plans that are there. Everything else will be seeded and grass around it. You know, we're looking at these lots as almost, you know, they're closer to an acre than anything else. And people know they're 30,000 square feet and a little bigger, but we're looking for more of that rural look with the open ditch and whatnot. We're not going to require people to have sod and sprinklers. We're going to allow seeding. If people want to be a little greener, that's fine with me. I believe Mother Nature can do whatever she wants. So we'll have a bed area in front of the house, a little bit to the side, and for the most part, it'll be grass. We have trees on the property, they'll stay. And then we'll have a 12-foot concrete drive, which we're going to require at least a 12-foot concrete drive for all houses that build in this development. Plot plan, I think that this map, was that adequate enough for a plot plan to show what it is? And then you've also got the site plan, which shows the dimensions of the lot, how far the house is from the property lines and whatnot. The detailed drawings, I hope they're detailed enough. And a timeline, what I suggested in a timeline was that, the work would be completed within 4 weeks of the first building permit at the latest that was offered, And of course, my druthers would be to do this right away and sell the house so I can get it off my balance sheet. So I would have incentive to do it quicker. The windows are new in the house.
Board wall basement.
It's a poured wall basement. It's not an old Michigan basement. It has a finished rec room with that fireplace and then a Bilco door that comes out of it in a basement. It's really a nice basement. No leaks at all. We added a radon mitigation just to make sure that it was there. The person I'm looking at is a local resident. He just finished his college at Eastern Kentucky. Has a job at U of M as a lab tech in the medical division. I think he's just short of a master's. Has a family, small son, and has been chomping at the bit over this house for some time now, but I wouldn't sell it till we could figure out what was going on with all of our drawings. So I would open up to the public or to the commission here to ask me detailed questions. At this point, hopefully I've answered the questions that I wasn't at the last meeting to do, and I apologize for that.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Any other, anything else to add to that at your end? If not, then we'll have questions. I'm sure everyone's got. Let's start, Mr. Chuck.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not as many questions as maybe a comment. First of all, I'm glad that initially we were under the assumption that renters or whomever were going to stay there. I'm really happy that the restoration will take place and there'll be an owner in there, which obviously, as you just stated, eliminates that from your balance sheet. I do believe that somebody occupying it and owning the home is always far greater than somebody renting. So I'm happy about that. I'm anxious to see exactly how it would come out, because in the end, it's going to be one of, I guess, 21 different homes in that so-called rural type setting, subdivision. So I think it's incumbent upon both of you, the two petitioners, to make sure it fits. And if I understand it correctly, one has 17 lots and one has 4. I guess that's 21. So I guess you do have to work somewhat jointly to make sure it comes off the way you want it. So that's about all I have at this moment, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, great, thank you. I know whenever we have public hearings about developments like this, people that move from Canton, Livonia, Farmington, wherever, they always want to move here because of the country setting and country ideas. And this is like the perfect, I think it's like right in the sweet spot. I like the idea of the older home. The barn, I think, is a great idea to leave that.
Can you convince my wife to let me move out here so I can have my daughter's weddings and, and Thanksgiving and Halloween parties there?
And people, and people that are moving into that subdivision, whether they're spending $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, this is the type of setting they want. If they want a standard development like every other one in the township, they can go to 6 other developments in this township and get a house. But I think this will be a template for other developments too. I really believe the reason people are moving out here, they want that country feel, and I think this would give it to them. Mr. Hoffman.
Chairman, can I add one thing?
Sure.
Even coming from Wayne County and Canton and Westland, where I live, I feel like I'm in a rural development. That's the biggest difference between the two counties. But I agree with what you're saying.
Okay. Mr. Hoffman?
Hello, I'm here.
Here you are.
I know this site through another builder that tried to develop it, and he mentioned there was so many problems with water and soils, weird stuff, and so I only know a little bit about that, but from what I see, I really like it. I really like the development, and how it's carved up and saved. And I have, I think it's great. I really do think it's going to be a kind of, that corridor down 11 Mile is sort of, I don't know, let's say worn, kind of, it needs a little refreshing. I think that'll really boost up 11 Mile all the way down. So I like it. So I go for it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ryan.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute. So I guess I don't know, is the barn staying or going? Have we determined that yet? Anybody?
Can I say something, please?
Sure.
Yes, please.
I've designed a house, and we're going to allow metal roofs in because that seems to be the new hot spot. We've designed a house with a metal roof that's going to actually kind of play with the barn. And so it makes it feel like it was built together. Now there's a wing on the back side of that barn. I don't know if you've been there. There was a tack stable on the front. I remember my cousins had Buck and King. That was their two ponies. Buck was a great horse. King was just a miserable Shetland pony that bit everybody. But I tore that off the front, and I'm going to tear the thing off the back also. So just the barn is there. When Tim redid the barn, there was some new boards he added inside of that. Some boards that have been, we used to do crazy things. We broke the boards. Let's just say we broke some boards, and Tim replaced them. So I'm going to shave the barn down to a smaller size. I've already knocked off 14 or 16 feet on the front, and there's a 2-door garage door on the west side of that barn. So it must be 16 feet wide or better, or maybe 18 feet. I'm going to knock that off. So just we have the pristine barn left, not that ugly lean-to.
Okay.
Honestly, I guess I have a little bit mixed emotions because I am a barn guy. I like barns. I like outbuildings. I just don't know how well it's going to fit in with the rest of the neighborhood. Are you going to allow outbuildings in the rest of the neighborhood with all the other houses, or is this the only?
Encourage. I've built in Brighton Township, North Windsor, Osborne Lake. It's a 40,000 square foot lots, and we either built. Did you get a chance to see? I built a house on Spalding Road, and it's a two-car garage. I don't know if you saw the picture of that. And what we're finding is that, me being one of them, Bob certainly well beyond me being up there in years, is that people are complaining that it's difficult to make the turn into a side-load garage. So what we've done is that, and I did it in my Farmington Hill site, and, for Richard, he's 83 years old. So we did a 1-car drive-in car for him to be able to park his car. And then for Rose, she took the 2-car. So we're going to be, without a doubt, we will be the garage and outbuilding kings of the township, because I think our people that are there, people that are calling us, they want to store their bass boat. They want to put their RV, whatever it is, they want to store inside. I mean, these RVs, they're $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. They're a major investment, and people want to be able to take care of them. So we just did one up in this Northwoods community where we had a 10-foot door, and it's a 4,000 square foot house with a big building on it, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And I encourage anybody. It's on Heine Road, just west of Old 23. If you drive to it, Northwinds at Osborne Lake, and look at the houses that are there. I hope that we're going to duplicate that here because they were wildly successful.
Good. And you're fairly confident that you think you can make this house look like it fits in with the rest of the new houses that you're building in the neighborhood?
Yes, I do.
That's all I have right now.
All right. Thanks, Ron. Kurt?
Paul, there was a lot of discussion about barns. I mentioned the barn in South Lyon, Peter's barn, the big Pulte sub, and that sparked a lot of discussion about what a disaster that is for that subdivision. So that was a concern on the barn.
Is that a community barn though?
Pardon?
Is that a community barn? It's owned by the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
subdivision.
Yeah,
It's
right.
going to be owned by the person who builds this house. And they can share it with the community if they have a party. If not, it's their barn, which is a whole different thing, I think. And I've had many people come through and look at this barn. And, the visions and things that they've given me is where I've really kind of gone with this. It's a beautifully built barn. It's been restored. It stood through everything, the wind, the rain, the storm. And, and I don't know, maybe it becomes a guy with his car club, or maybe his kids go out because it's high to play basketball in. I don't know. It's just, it has so much potential. I just hate to take, I don't know, it's got to be close to a 100-year-old barn. And, and I remember our barn, Elko's, where Lombardo owns that barn was in complete disrepair. And we threw a match in it because there was nobody would take the beams because even they weren't good. This barn, on the other hand, is spectacular. If I'm wrong, the worst I do is I take it down and somebody pays me a couple of bucks and hopefully uses the wood for something. So if I'm wrong, I'll eat the barn. But until I'm proven that I'm wrong, I believe in it.
Okay, well, the bigger issue though, the last meeting that, as I recollect, was the house.
Correct.
Because we didn't have much to go on. We didn't have, if you're talking about $400,000 homes in that sub, you would have to spend a lot of money on that house to get that house. And it's not just siding and a roof. There'd have to be some architectural things or something to make it fit in. I think that was the concern from everybody.
Did you like
So
the
I don't,
I sent?
pardon?
Did you like the renderings I sent?
The recent ones?
Yes.
I haven't seen them. I didn't look at them.
Yeah. Brian,
Could we bring them up on the screen?
it would help. It really would.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
pretty nice.
Well, where I'm going with this, Paul, I would like, Stefan Hoffman is our architect. I mean, I would just make sure everybody on the board is happy with the renderings, and Brian said he's got, description and material.
That's a house we're building in Farmington Hills with no brick or stone. That's at Board and Batten. We've gone to the vertical siding, which has become hot. Same with the black windows. That seems to be the new thing. People love the black frames. Brian, I'm looking for the rendering of the 11 Mile house, but I appreciate you advertising that one for me. Oh, there's another house we built. See that very little stone? You see the trim around the windows, the colors. People have gone with the blues have become very popular. Very little stone, probably less than 20% stone, probably less than 10% stone on the whole house, just as an accent, not as a feature.
What kind of siding is on that house?
That one has hardy plank, whereas I've gone to a premium vinyl. And if you've been to the Heights at Elko Farms and gone in on Cogger's Way and gone up International, you'll see that there's no wave to my siding at all. I've gone with about a 2 grade up from what I used to. When I first got into business and we thought, oh, we had to be cheap, that was a wrong idea. You can get a little better siding for not that much money. It costs maybe $800 to $1,200 more a house. You get a much better premium siding.
So is it what we're looking at now, Paul? Is that's
That's
a
the
rendering of what you're gonna take that house, the existing house, and make it look like?
Yes, sir. It'll fit right in with the rest of the houses we built, I think. Some people may still build a brick house. I mean, there's some people that just want a 100% brick house because they think there's no maintenance to it. And, and if you're using hardy plank versus brick, the costs are very similar. If you're using vinyl siding, it's, $3.50, $4 a square foot cheaper for vinyl siding than it is either hardy plank or brick.
Okay, Paul, do you have the pictures, the renderings of the homes that you're gonna offer for sale?
I have an in-house architect, and quite frankly, even if you go to the Heights now, we tend to, the houses that I was building before I sold the lots to Lombardo were a combination of a lot of different things that people brought. The people that have come to this already, if you went to my website, the odds of me using any of those houses are pretty slim. They're gonna be custom. I sit down with people, ask them what they want, not what we offer. And it seems to be a very strong sales tool. You know,
Okay, next question. What's the square footage today on the house that we're talking
the
about?
house is about 1,600.
Okay, and what's the square footage of the homes that you're gonna be building, the neighbors?
We think there'll be anywhere from 1,600 to 4,500. We don't know. You know, we see a retirement crowd that looks for a smaller ranch and a bigger garage. I can't tell you how often that people say, I want a 3 to 4 car garage, because they spend most of my time there. You know, so it's, you know, and then we see other people say, well, I've got a family of 4 children and I want a 4,500 square foot house. It's all over the board. We don't know. But I do think that we will sell the predominant number of these homes to empty nesters. I truly believe that, from what I've seen in the people that have been inquiring over the last 2 years. And people, I mean, I've got a list as long as my arm of people that says, as soon as you're ready, call me. It's been, you know, we've done no advertising at all. It's just people drive by and say, wow, I like this.
Okay, no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Kurt. Kurt, I went and looked at the material last week at the office, and I think it was Cedar Impressions and Wolverine siding. I know both those sidings are used in historical districts around the country, so it is a quality product on the siding.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Town?
It's a very small part of the cost to go with a more premium product. I can show you houses I built that the siding is friendly, it waves at you, and I will never do that again. We build with a 2x6 wall, premium siding. My siding is straight.
Carl?
Yeah, Paul, if you could get a pencil and paper out and give me your answers when I'm done. Okay?
Hold on. Ready?
So we made reference last meeting to lead pipes in the house. Are you aware of any lead pipes in that old 1900?
No, we just put a new water softener a year and a half ago. We probably pump out of the well, probably close to 20 gallons a minute. It's in great shape.
Okay, so it'll be contingent upon no lead pipes if we approve this. It's also going to be contingent upon
Carl, can I say one thing?
inspection.
Okay.
That that house is inspected just like a new house. That our inspectors are able to go in there and inspect that home. Same with the barn. The barn has to pass inspection as well. I'm very pleased with that, and it's in our minutes that that house is not going to be rented. Is that correct?
Oh, no.
Okay.
How we start
That's
out.
good. That's good.
Okay.
That's good. As long as I have your word and it's on record.
I want to sell it tomorrow.
Yep. The barn is going to stay and it's going to be on lot 18. Is that correct?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I believe you that it's 18.
Well, could you look so we can?
House is on 18, barn's on 17. I couldn't remember.
The barn is on 17. Okay.
So,
And the house is on 18. So this is a question I'd like to have you answer right now is, are you willing to put up a security bond if that barn has to come down?
how much?
A security bond
How much?
to cover the price of tearing that barn down.
How much?
Under
I
the
don't,
zoning,
I can't have.
I don't know what the price is.
I mean, as Leslie knows, I'm pretty capable of taking stuff down in a hurry. If it
Well,
came out of that, we'd tear it
But
down.
we have to have guarantees that it would come down. I'm not willing to pass this along unless there's a guarantee tonight that
If the barn
if the
passes,
owner,
the guarantee, correct?
if it doesn't pass inspection, it comes down, or you repair it until it passes inspection.
Okay, fair enough.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Leslie, what do you say to something like that?
well, I was just gonna comment on the bond amount. Under the zoning ordinance, it's 125% of the cost. So I'd work with the planner or the building department to give you the number of what that bond amount would be.
Okay, and that's, in my opinion, we should have that contingent upon having a bond to tear that down if something goes haywire. Does everybody agree to that?
can we get the inspection done first? Because if it really is that bad, I'm tearing it down. before-
Well, I would, the issue is, we're trying to accommodate you.
Yes, that's
And
fine.
this is the first time that you've been before us, and we want to wrap this up too. You know, we don't want to see you keep on coming back to
That's
us.
I mean, I don't know what the value of the barn is, Carl. That's my problem. If 125%, if it's $100,000 barn, just use that as a number.
No, the 125% tear down. So at $10,000 to tear it
I think
down,
Leslie said the cost of the barn.
cost to tear it down.
No, the cost to tear it down, she said.
The demo costs,
Okay.
not to
fine.
rebuild it. The
Okay.
demo bonds, like any other bond, it's just
That's
the
fine.
percentage of the cost.
You're okay with that?
That's fine.
Okay, so
Mr.
that's in the
Town?
record. That's in the
I
record
would, I
as
would
well.
suggest that there be some kind of a timeline as well, for those.
On the barn?
Yes, just some kind of an outside timeline so that you're not waiting, you know, a year or 2 year or 3 years and still have no resolution to that.
That's a good heads up.
Can we each provide a building inspector so that if you pick an inspector I think is unacceptable and I give you an inspector, that we each have somebody that's represented or something to that effect?
I
Brian,
think
you're gonna have
through
to
the
answer
building
that. That's not-
department.
Pardon?
The inspection would be through the building department.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm good with that then. As long as it's Tony, Dave, or whoever, I know what they are.
On that lot, do you, I mean, what's a reasonable expectation in your mind to get the lot with the barn sold and get permits started for a new build? I mean, are we talking 6 months? Are we talking 2 years?
One of my highest priorities. We're gonna feature it. We're gonna use that barn as kind of, our plan was when we originally kicked this off, we were gonna have like a country band and a cider party and a hoedown kind of, you know, with all the real estate agents and made it public, you know, to kind of kick off the development. So it may end up being, you know, something in the spring or early summer next year, and it'll be a featured part of our marketing effort. Because I think that somebody's gonna see the barn and say, oh, I gotta have it. And if nobody does see it, then I'm gonna say, well, I was wrong and I'm gonna tear it down.
Well, that's, I think, Brian, but I think what Brian's getting at, we talked about this at the last meeting, that if for some reason the buyer for that lot with the barn doesn't exist in the next couple of years, that there'd be a cap, a
We can make,
deadline on it.
we can make it a year cap. I don't have.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Can we make it?
I'm gonna
Mr. Chuck.
suggest, December 31 of 2021. The applicant stated he's got a guy that wants his house tomorrow.
But that's not the barn though. I
Well-
think he wants the house.
Well, okay, well, my understanding was, I'm glad you clarified it. It was a package deal.
They're two lots.
Lot 17 and 18. I understand it.
They're different lots.
So the issue is the inspection, really. When the inspection can be done, what, within the next 3 months, 6 months?
The inspection?
Yeah, the inspection on the barn.
You can do that.
Well, can we do it like tomorrow? I mean, the
Sure,
sooner the better.
the sooner the better.
If
But
the
if we
barn's
put it,
not, the barn's not suitable, it comes down right now.
okay, then if we put like a 3 month, you have 3 months to have it inspected and a decision made on whether it's coming down or not. Is that fair?
1 month. Let's make it 1 month to get the
Fine.
inspection. Let's get it done. If it's the building department that's doing the inspection, the sooner the better.
Can they get there that quick, Leslie? I know they're behind on
Well,
inspections.
I don't know what their schedule is. I mean, I don't think
I-
it would
I don't know
take a month to inspect it. But Paul will have to contact them and, you know, we'll relay what happened at the planning commission and, you know, usually it's a payment of fees and arrangement of the inspection within a few days is, I think, typically for inspection. So
So,
I'll try and get them out next week.
so there would have to be two inspections, correct? One, what needs to come up to code, and then two, the final before, I'll call it a C of O. Am I correct in my thought process?
There's 2 inspections. There's gonna be an inspection on the house to bring it up to CVO. There's gonna be an inspection on the barn to see if it's even safe enough to do anything. If the barn's not safe, I have no desire to try to fix the barn. I believe it's safe.
All right, if the barn is safe, that's the first inspection, then the second inspection would be when it's completely finished, correct, on the barn? In other words, somebody would have to inspect the work. Mr. Town said he expects both of those units to be treated as new construction. Am I right, Carl?
That's correct.
So I'm not a builder, but first you got to find out what needs to be done. That's the first inspection. Then the second inspection, before it goes up for sale, has to be inspected to make sure everything's done. I's are dotted, T's are crossed. It's just a process. I don't think it's a major deal, but I want to be clear in my mind.
I think it's just one inspection on the barn,
Okay.
Well,
right?
if I may,
Correct?
Mike.
Yeah.
Again, so we've got a commitment that he's going to put up a demolition bond. It's going to be inspected. And we could also make it, if you want to move it forward tonight. If you don't, I'm okay with that too. But if we do, it's got to be contingent upon that construction bond and the on his part, he's having it inspected. I mean, we want it to be inspected, but he wants to do it sooner than later because he doesn't want to put the money out for a construction bond. He's going to take it down right away. So I need help with this, Lisa, on some of this wordage that we should put forward tonight, because I think we're almost there. There's only a couple more items. Could you help me with that, or us with that?
Sure. Are there any other issues that need to be discussed?
Well, yeah, the other issue is the storm easement that Brian seems to think it's not an issue, but it was still on the last letter. We had talked about it. I was good with where it was. And we were talking about moving the building site up forward. So it didn't interfere at all. We wanted to make sure that it was in the documents that they could not build in that area. Is that right? Do you guys agree on that, Paul?
Yes.
Build the pump station.
No.
They're talking about a house and having enough room in the backyard between the back of the house and the storm sewer to utilize
Yeah,
that.
that's 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Sorry, I wasn't aware of that. That's why I was confused.
And we discussed that. There, see, these are 300 feet deep.
Right.
And so the house will be the first 60 feet starting after 103. So the house should be 103 plus 60 feet. So let's just say 170 feet. And then we still have 230 feet left. No, 130 feet left in the backyard.
So you will pull it forward.
Brian, in a site condo, what is the normal setback from the right of way? This feels like it's bigger than that for some reason. Am I just bad memory here?
Well, your minimum on this is 55. So if you've got on lot 6, you have a 55-foot setback.
Brian, I think I can shed some light on why those units 3 through 5 are longer. It's because the lot width is measured at the setback line. So that's where the lot widths are exactly 110 feet, and that's why those are set back further.
Oh, thank you, Pat.
Okay.
There's still enough room in the
Yeah, I got
backyard.
it. Yeah.
And there is still enough room in the backyard for pools, decks. And if it becomes so extravagant that there's not room, the homeowner has the opportunity to move that storm sewer because it's private, as long as he has an HOA approval to do that. Which I don't see why it'd be complicated. We just didn't put the storm any further towards the creek because we were starting to interfere with some of the vegetation there. We were trying to save some of that just to make a nice buffer into the drain.
I'm good with that. So that would, if everybody is in agreement, then Lisa, that the issue would be with the barn and the house. How we're going to approach that.
So this is a recommendation, or this would be a recommendation to the
No.
board.
No, this is going to be our site plan. We're only
This
going to
is the
make a
site plan.
recommendation for the special land use.
So I would say, first of all, it's gonna be conditioned on approval of the special land
Correct.
use.
Correct.
And then also conditioned upon, say, an approved inspection within 3 months from the date of approval?
Can I help out with you possibly on this? Is that we have to have two different inspections. There has to be an inspection on the house to bring it up to code, to be able to pass what would be a final building inspection. Carl, I believe that's what you wanted to be.
That's correct.
Of?
That's correct.
Okay, so I interpreted what you said correctly. And then the barn, it's a little looser. I think what we're asking is the building department to look at it, inspect it, and make sure that it's structurally safe and sound.
And whose determination whether it comes down, yours or
Mine.
theirs?
Mine, if they say you have to do this to make it good, I say yes or no. If I say no, I take it down.
So Lisa, the thought would be what time period and what wording on what Paul just said.
So it looks like you're talking about a final inspection within, Paul, what time frame are you looking for? 6 months? Does that?
Here's what I think we gotta do, Lisa, is the house. You need to give me the list of things that need to be repaired. So what we'll do, along when we're making the improvements to the house as proposed by the plan that I sent you, it would all be in conjunction so that we apply for a building permit for the remodeling of the house, have this list of things that we have to fix. And then in conjunction with getting the final C of O, we get all those things checked off.
I'm not sure if that's how the building department inspects buildings. I don't know if they go through and give you an entire punch list, Paul. You might have to have your own architect look at it and determine if it's to code. I mean, that's not really their function.
Yeah, and I don't want to set too many regulations for what the building department has to do.
It either meets code or it doesn't.
I think we want general timeframes.
It-
I think we want general timeframes when these permits will be applied for and obtained. So I think 6 months, does that give you enough time?
That should give me, yeah, for the house, that's fine. Can I get my own building inspector to come out and go through the house and bring you a list, Leslie?
No.
This is not how it works, Paul. I mean, you should hire an architect to go through the house and give you a list of deficiencies in the code. When you've met those, that's when you call the building department, and you can walk through this with Dave, the building official, but my understanding of the building department's inspection is not to give you a punch list on how to make it meet code. You have to do that independently.
I just confirmed what Carl was saying that when I got offline there. That's fine, I'm good. I'll get my own.
Okay. Okay, so let's make it contingent upon both items being taken care of in 6 months. Everybody agree to that on the planning commission?
And when you say taken care of, you're talking about final inspections being approved,
Yep.
correct?
Well, yes, because we want this house done. We don't want it to linger. He said he wants to get it done and get it sold. He's got a lot of daylight left to get it done. So let's get it fixed. Let's get it inspected. Let's get the barn inspected and get it fixed or tore down, and it all takes place in 6 months.
Yeah, because
Carl, can I ask a question, Carl?
Yeah.
Do you mean you listed lead in the pipes, you listed a couple items, but you're also including the rendering that we just looked at, the total remodel, the look, the outside, how it's going to look, that's included in the house being done?
That's correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
The house, that house will be completed.
Right.
Okay.
it's my goal to sell this house as quickly as I can, and spiffing it up can't hurt, is what my thought is too. So when I put the elevation on, it'll help it.
So if there's no other questions, I'm ready to make a motion to move this forward.
All right.
Can I speak?
There is. Brian's got a question. Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Mike.
I would just like clarification on the time period on the barn. If for some reason Mr. Elko is not able to sell lot 17, say 1 year, 2 years, is there an expectation that the barn will be removed so we don't end up with an accessory structure on its own
6
lot?
months. 6 months, Brian.
Can we have
6 months on the barn and 6 months on the house.
Carl, can I
Yeah.
ask this question? I need at least 6 months from the time that building permits are available, because I can't sell the barn. I can start pre-marketing, but I need to be able to get building permits to be able to actually sell the lots, correct? I can't sell
Yeah,
the lots.
well, I mean, I'm not gonna answer that. So Brian
Well,
can answer that.
But I'm,
From a process standpoint, they have to build the sewer system. And that has not been submitted for permits. So there is some, I think what Paul's asking for is there's some lead time in design and permitting before he can even sell that lot. And is that
I'm not
correct,
worried
Paul?
about the lot though. Paul, we discussed it. I'm not worried about you selling the lot. I'm worried about you getting that house inspected and get all the repairs done in 6 months and then getting the barn inspected and deciding in 6 months, either have it all fixed up or it's gone.
oh,
Carl,
Gas
let's
inspection or it's gone.
I think.
Carl, let's assume the barn is rebuilt. Would you be willing to say by December 31st, 2021? I mean, I don't know who wants to buy a barn, but the house, I'm with you 100%. But I think allowing 16 months to sell the barn, if it doesn't sell, well, then the work to build it up to code was all for nothing, and then it comes down.
No, I don't agree with that.
Mhm.
I agree with my 6 month frame on both the house and the barn. The barn, he's going to make a decision on the barn, Jim.
I understand. It
He's
might
going to
come
get
down
it
in 2
inspected. Let me
weeks.
finish. He's going to get it inspected, and he's going to decide after it's inspected whether he's going to repair it, have them come back and re-inspect it. He doesn't have to sell the lot. He doesn't even have to sell the barn. He can disassemble that barn. He's got plenty of people to do that.
I
There's not an
understand.
issue there. There's not an issue with me. There's not an issue with him. He can disassemble it and store it someplace. So I really like the
Yeah.
6 months apiece, and that's going to be my motion. That's my motion.
Stefan wanted to make
approve
a
it with all
comment.
those caveats.
Stefan wanted to make a comment, I heard.
I did. I'm looking at your rendering ball of this building, and you know, I must say, you're actually like proud of how little stone you use or how little brick you use. I see this rendering. I see amateur design. I see 3 different sill heights. I see a porch from a colonial house and a garage doors from a country. I just see, you could do so much better. And you say you have an in-house architect, which who knows what that means, but I would just sure hope that, when I look at an estate or a house, a Grosse Pointe solid brick home is to me the pinnacle. And you're so proud about vinyl siding. And that's what Lyon Township is becoming, is this, you got this lick and stick stone, and then and you're proud of it. I don't get it. So I just think there's got to be improvement, and if this is what you build is fine. I don't care, but I just would like to make sure that I know and I believe that Lyon Township deserves better than proud vinyl siding. All right, I'd like to think that we want to be, those beautiful individual custom homes of the later years. So, the mindset is what I think I'm just bothered by, and I had to say that. That's all. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I've been beat up before. I mean, my houses in the crossings of Milford are all hardy plank. My houses in Farmington Hills are hardy plank. The houses I build, the condos at Hidden Lake are hardy plank. Unfortunately, if I raise my price $15,000 against the Pulte's, the Lombardos, the Canzanos, I'm not going to sell houses, and they use a far lesser quality than what I have. And don't take my enthusiasm that I'm using better quality than my competition. Not that I would rather not use hardy plank if cost and budget were not an issue. I take your point there. Now, if you don't like the doors, I'm not sure I like the doors either. That's what Kim put on it. She was trying to do something, and I'm just like so. If you have a better idea for those garage doors, I'm not against it.
Actually, the garage doors are probably the best part of this house.
Boy,
I hate the porch, and I hate the fact that someone thought that having 3 different sill heights for stone was a good idea.
Can we go back to the plan? Because I mean, is there a way to change it to, I mean,
I don't even want to discuss this. We've talked about this for so long for this thing.
would you rather be all the same sill height? I can do that. That's simple.
That would really be a professional architect's
I mean,
way to do it.
there's not 3 different sill heights, there's 2. Because the garage and the window are the same, I believe, aren't they?
Oh, well, if it dies down, that's even retarded.
Oh, we can't use that word. Come on, I get in trouble from my daughter who works in healthcare if I say that.
I'm sorry. I got a lot of.
If I bring the stone up to 1 sill height for that, it won't make you happy, but will it make you a little happier?
I'm not going to make an opinion. It's your house. I've seen a lot worse.
Okay, thank you. We'll live with that. Okay.
2 cars in the yard.
Who's singing here?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I ask just for a brief clarification from Mr. Town? Within that 6-month period, they have to get final inspections, they have to make all necessary improvements, or demolish the house and the barn. Is that the motion?
That's the motion.
Okay, and then.
Carl, I
it
stand
was-
corrected. I thought you wanted it sold in 6 months.
No,
My bad.
no.
Brian,
I agree with you
I've got
100%.
confused, 'cause Brian's.
100%.
And then there was some discussion about a demolition bond of 125%. Is that being
Well,
discussed?
I still think that he should come up with a demolition bond, because if this is gonna move forward and that barn isn't down in 6 months, what are we gonna do? And Paul, it's nothing against on you, it's just the way
I'm
we
fine.
do business nowadays. So yes, included in that motion is a construction,
Can I have this one caveat?
a destruction bond,
30 days,
demolition.
30
Demolition.
days to put up the construction bond, because if I have the inspection in the next 2 weeks and I look at it and they say it's a disaster, I'll have it down before the 30 days comes. I'll guarantee.
Okay,
you
but
that.
we still want to have that demolition bond. And that's included in my motion, and that's my motion to move this forward, AP-20-16A. And again, on the site plan, it's contingent upon approval by the board of the special land use.
Correct.
Or
Carl,
even up tonight.
I'll support your motion.
What about the ownership of the property? Does that have to be in there, Lisa?
I'll get you that.
Or
Yeah, it should be contingent upon a deed
The
being
deed?
submitted.
Yeah, it's
I'll have you
it's
tomorrow.
it's in the minutes,
okay,
but we can add it. Sure, Mike. Yeah,
okay, no,
absolutely.
okay, very good, Carl.
Let's add that to the motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can
Please,
I,
Kelly.
Brian asked the question, if Mr. Elko, the barn is good, or Mr. Elko spends a few dollars and fixes the barn and makes it good, and in 2 years, nobody wants to buy the barn, that we talked last meeting about having an end date, and Brian just mentioned this a few minutes ago. Could we have a 2-year, is that, if it's an eyesore in that subdivision in 5
6 months.
years?
6 months.
Okay, I'm not.
You're talking, okay, we've got 2 different things. Kurt's talking about selling it,
Right.
but
No.
I don't think we should have a date on that. I mean, the people are buying in that sub, they know what they're getting when they purchase the sub. I don't know, but
Okay,
I got to support, Mike.
okay. Okay, Carl, motion, Kurt supported, correct?
Correct.
No, Jim supported.
Jim,
Oh, Jim, I'm
Jim,
sorry,
Jim.
Mr. Chuck. Nature man there. Okay, this
Zoom
is for
is
site
rough.
plan. Any other comments? Questions? Okay, Kelly, if you take roll.
Jim Chuck,
Yes.
Michael Conflitti,
Yes.
Stefan Hoffman,
Yes.
Ron Pennington,
Yes.
Kurt Radke,
Yes.
Carl Town.
Yes.
Very good. Then on the special land use,
Whoever makes the motion, that would be contingent upon the board approval. Kurt,
All
That
right.
would be that simple, Carl?
that'd be that
Special
simple.
land- Okay, I'll make a motion on the special land use per board approval.
Well, based
Well,
on
AP petition, whatever, where are we at?
Yeah.
That'd be the next one. AP
20-16-B.
16B.
Thank you. AP-20-16B Hickory Creek, special land use.
Help them out, Lisa. Anything else?
Mike, you're muted.
I'll support that motion, by the way.
Lisa, you're muted. Lisa?
Unmute.
Lisa?
There you go.
There you go.
You're recommending approval to the township board of the special land use.
Correct.
And I think it would be conditioned upon the conditions of the site plan approval. I think you want to tie those together. So
Yeah.
tie it
Thank
to
you.
the conditions of site plan approval being complied with.
Thank you.
All right, Kelly, did you get all that?
I did.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Kelly.
Okay,
Kelly,
motion-
you're wonderful.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you,
Did
Lisa.
Did we get a support? or
I
no?
supported Jim Chuck.
Mr. Chuck, okay. Any other comments? Okay, Kelly, if you take roll, please.
Ron Pennington,
Yes.
Kurt Radke,
Yes.
Jim Chuck,
Yes.
Carl Town,
Yes.
Michael Conflitti,
Yes.
Stefan Hoffman.
Yep.
All right, very good. Congratulations, Paul.
Thank you
Yep.
very much.
Thank you.
Rock on.
And Mr. Freund, congratulations, both of you.
Thank you.
Brian, AP 20-04 Event Barn Zoning Ordinance Text Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to note on the call with us this evening are Allie and Todd Detweiler, whom
Oh.
we all met before COVID took over. They've been in regular contact with me and looking for regular updates as their search continues for an appropriate location. But based on our conversation last month in terms of whether or not the event barn or facility use is appropriate in our R10 zoning district, I think the majority of the Planning Commission felt that it could be a use that we can work with, subject to several conditions. Patty would tell us, of course, if she were here, she's one of the opposition to the use based on some of her comments. But we've gone back and we've gone through several ordinances throughout the state to try to look for best practices and looking at what the minimum lot sizes are, looking at how we would treat occupancy, number of events, things like that. For this use. And so what we've arrived at is the proposed language that you have that was included in your packet. We're suggesting a minimum lot size of 20 acres, a minimum lot width of 300 feet, and buffers of all improvements. That includes any outbuildings or parking or scenic photo opportunities, things like that would all be required to be at least 100 feet from a property line. Based on our minimums, that gives somebody 100 feet in the middle of a 20-acre parcel to make something like this work. And again, that's at the minimum. But we would ask that if the Planning Commission were to consider a use like this for the special use process, that a maximum occupancy be set on both the structure and the parcel, that we would cap number of events to 1 per weekend. So anybody nearby would not be dealing with 2 large events or similar or weddings in a given weekend. We've also set some hours of operation and we're calling 11 p.m. drop dead for all employees and everybody to be off the site. All music would be shut down at 10 o'clock, so on and so forth. So we've got some stricter lighting standards than our normal ordinance allows. So our ordinance today allows for commercial uses, a half of a foot candle at a property line. In this instance, we would minimize that down to 0 foot candles at the property line. And then we're referencing our landscape standards. These are pretty strict in requiring a substantial green belt. either at the property line or around the built improvements. So that's what we've come up with so far. And then we've also added a new definition for an event barn or facility. So at this point, I think it's a situation where we really need to decide whether or not this is a use that we're comfortable with. And if we think so, then we can refine some of these things further or add anything else that you've been thinking about that you have concerns on. And we can move forward towards an end goal of including these as a use in the ordinance. Otherwise, I think it's something that we need to acknowledge that we want to keep these kinds of facilities to our commercial districts, which is where we allow banquet halls and things like that today. But we should make a decision one way or the other on that. So, and again, Allie and Todd are on if we have specific questions in terms of what they envision wanting or needing for this type of use above and beyond what we have the knowledge or shared expertise on.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Chairman, I got a couple of quick questions for
Yeah,
Brian.
please, go.
Brian, I think first question I have, do we have 20 acres somewhere in the township?
We do. We've got several big parcels remaining. There's always the possibility for aggregating parcels as well. But I know Ellie and Todd have their eyes on, have looked at several that could work for that minimum lot size.
Okay, fine. I know you would know that. I didn't. The other question I have, you mentioned one event per weekend. Is that correct?
Yes, I've got it as written, one large event, which is greater than 50, and one small event that's less than.
Yeah, I did read your notes, and now I recall you did put that in there. Okay, but that doesn't exclude them from having a Wednesday evening event. I guess where I'm going with this, I'm putting my hat on as an entrepreneur now. Gee, I'm being kind of limited to a Saturday only. There's only 52 Saturdays in a year. However, I might have requests for something from 6 to 10 on a Wednesday night. So the way it's written and structured right now, that's permitted use.
Yes, and I'd expect, because these all are going to get reviewed under the special use project review process, that we would work those things out. But to your point, I think it would be good if we want to add in restrictions during the week, we can add them to this list so that every proposal comes with an anticipated.
Right, and I understand at this point, we're just seeing if we want to take it further, then we can really fine tune it based on the applicant's desires and if they want to continue. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Chuck. Any other comments? Or do we have anyone else? I'm sorry, who was here, Brian?
Ellie and Todd Detweiler.
Yeah.
Are they on right now? Do they?
They are. Yep. Make sure.
Brian?
Yes, they are. 5525. So, Mr. Wittes, we could unmute that line if it's okay with Mr. Chair.
Yes, they just
Please,
need to
yeah,
hit
please.
*6.
Hello, are we on?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, members of the Planning Commission, for entertaining our idea. We appreciate it. I just want to shed a little bit of light, if I can,
Give us your name and address, please, for Kelly.
Sure. Todd Detweiler and Allie Detweiler. Currently, we're at 120 York Street, and that's in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Okay. Go.
So if I could, just take a minute here and explain what it is we are intending on doing. And I think that'll help guide maybe the conversation for you all to render a decision. We are planning on moving back to Michigan in the next couple weeks, or 2 months, actually, less than 2 months. And it is our intention when we get back there to start this business. and to buy property and then build this event space venue somewhere very close, really to the South Lyon area, as close as we can be. So we've really identified it as the perfect spot for us. So what we want to build is what I would consider a high-end event space. And high-end to a degree, it's more of a rustic high-end, I guess. If you could picture, I suppose we brought it up one time before, Brian, the Blue Hill Stone Farms, which is in upstate New York. It's really very similar to what we're trying to recreate. It is this rustic barn that was restored beautifully in upstate New York. And while we can't find the right barn to restore, and I think the cost to restore would be more than to build new, I think we're just going to be building new. But finding the right property is proving to be a challenge, and especially in any kind of commercially zoned area. It's just not that attractive coming in and to try to build an oasis that people would want to, come to and be inspired by, to have an event or, have a wedding at. It's just a little uninspiring, some of the commercial spaces that we've been eyeing or looking at. So that's why we have been, ardently looking for the right spot. We have found a couple of properties, and there are a few, but there is one just south of 12 Mile near Huron Valley Trail. It seems to be a nice spot. It's 35 acres. We agree with the suggestion that we need 20 acres plus. 35 sounds about right. We, hearing the suggestion from Brian, agree with some things. Limiting us, I think, to one event a weekend, to Jim Chuck's point, would be a problem. That would very much, I think, kill the business model if we were being limited that way. So I would say that kind of a limitation would be very difficult for us to be successful. So that to be considered. I think the biggest problems from what I heard, we were in the last call too, I think, where Patricia raised some concerns, are traffic and noise. Noise, I think we are very conscious of. I think we are going to take every opportunity that we can to build berms, to insulate thoroughly, to have existing, hopefully, trees, foliage, et cetera, keep us away from residential properties that are nearby. And we don't want to disturb neighbors whatsoever at all. And, we want to be embraced by the community, and we were received well, back in February. And I think that's why we keep pestering Brian and keep coming back, because we just really have fallen in love with the area. But, we want to do all these things correctly. And for the traffic, it's like, it'll just be really for the events. And I don't see it, if you put in like a subdivision on 35 acres, you're going to have a lot more traffic coming through during rush hour and commute time, rather than a smaller amount of cars or traffic for an event. But we're here to answer questions, and Allie's here too. So if you have any questions for us, we'd love to answer them.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Chuck, did you have any questions?
No, not really. I like the idea. I know there's some difference of opinions, I believe, but I like the idea. I think it's it's something that's becoming more and more what's the word I'm looking for? Plentiful, or it's more of a want that as we move through these times, people are looking for venues like that. I guess that's the way to say it. So, but I have no other further questions at this point.
Okay, thank you. I like the idea. Also, if anyone here's been to Castle Gardens in Charlevoix, it has that idea, same idea. But I think these regulations, especially 4, 5, and 6, say this township doesn't want this type of business here. Is what the feeling I get from this. Those last 3 regulations are way too strict. My opinion. Who's next? Mr. Hoffman.
Sir. Yeah, it seems very restrictive in a lot of ways. I mean, 20 acres in area minimum? That's huge. You might as well build like Meadowbrook Hall on that. So I don't know what, who could, put a party in a building and, it just, he seems really out of whack to me. 300-foot minimum width and 20 acres.
I mean, the rationale coming out of the last meeting when we talked about this was we want to make sure that we're not introducing any impacts to our existing residential neighborhoods. The way to do that is bump up the minimum lot size and setbacks on these.
You know how
So
much
that's what
20
we
acres
did.
goes for in Lyon Township? A lot.
I do.
And
Brian, I have a question. I'm sorry, Mr. Hoffman. I do have a question when you're done, though.
no, I'm done.
Brian, you said you did some research with other facilities and communities. I mean, is 20 basically the standard? Is it 15? Is it 20? I mean,
They were
it's bigger than
between
10.
It was 10 or 20 in almost every single instance.
And I would favor the 20, especially if they said south of 12 Mile, if it's where I'm thinking, which I don't need to bring that up right now. And yeah, that'd probably be a good fit. I think it's where we were going to have a cricket field once. Anyway, that's all I have. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Ron?
Yeah, I think the lot size and the setbacks is acceptable to keep the noise and everything into the property and away from bleeding out into the neighbors. I kind of agree with numbers 4 and 5, or I'm sorry, 5 and 6. It's numbered 4, 5, 4. But the hours, I think the cleanup and setup could be earlier and later. I don't think that would be a problem for me. And I also think that I don't think it's a big deal if they had more than one event in a day. If you could get a 50-person event in on Saturday afternoon and then 150 or 200 people in the evening is not a problem for me. But other than that, everything else is fine. I'm fine with the setbacks and the lot size, though.
Okay, thank you. Kurt?
I pretty much agree with whatever everything has been said. It's restrictive. It's almost like we don't want it. I remember the meeting. 1 or 2 people were pretty much, and I think Patty had talked to somebody in another township that had one experience, and that was. And I think I even suggested at the end I would like to talk to this person. I have a lot more questions because I thought it was a great idea initially until Patty shared something. But the 35 acres they're looking at on 12 Mile, are there subdivisions like right on top of all around? I mean, that's a huge piece of property, but I'm just curious. Are there borderline residential areas in there now? Or is it? Brian, can you share?
You know, Brian?
Without giving exact, you don't have to tell me exactly where it is, but.
Well, you can't write a spec about what they're going to buy. You're gonna write this on the proper way to add this, okay, to the special land use. So you're asking a question you shouldn't be asking.
Thank you, sir. So let me go back to comments from Stefan. 20 acres is huge. Some communities are doing it with 10 acres. I thought it was a great idea initially, and I still think it's a good. I still like the idea. I'm done.
Okay, thank you, sir. Carl Town.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ron. I'm in agreement with the setbacks. Also the berms. I'm really big on the berms. I think sloped properly, it'd be easy to maintain, easy to landscape, make it look super. The traffic and noise, it'll hold that down. I am in agreement with, I think when it comes to special land use. There's a lot of other twists we can do. I don't think we have to decide that tonight, but something you should put your caps on to figure out how many events in the week. I mean, I have no issue with, if we put a time frame on, during the week. I don't know what that would be, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I'm not sure. It's something we need to discuss and open. And then on Sunday, I mean, we have no construction here on Sunday, okay, in Lyon Township. So I think if Sunday's going to be used, if it's going to be used, it should be minimal. Smaller parties, maybe 12 to 3. I'm not sure the number. Applicant doesn't have to answer that right now unless they want to give us some thoughts when I'm done. But and then security. Every event has issues. Have they given thought to security? We don't want to spend our taxpayer dollars having to go out to your events every night. And I'm not saying we're going to have to, but it's something that we're probably going to have to discuss at the public hearing. But give me your thoughts when I'm done on security. And I think that concludes for me, actually. Let me see. Let me go over my list here. Traffic noise, and okay, that's always going to depend on the special land use of where you're going to build it at. If you build it, the traffic and the noise. I live 3 miles away from the high school. I hear the bands on Friday night football. I love them, but that's me. Some people might not like it, and it's not real loud. It's faint, but I'm 3 miles away. We have had issues with dogs barking, So as long as you're not going to have a dog security barking all night, a whole train of dogs. I mean, those are just small things that just on my list. But so I digress right now. If you could answer some of those questions or give us your thoughts, not to answer the question. It's not to just give us our thoughts on Sunday and what kind of things you do during the week. What's the time frame? And Sundays. Sundays are important to me. So thank you. Please, if you would, answer those.
Sure, happy to jump in there. For Sundays, we're in agreement. We don't anticipate any large parties. It might be a baby shower type scenario, but certainly no DJs, no bands, no loud music. It'll be, I think more luncheons on a Sunday. I don't really even see any evening besides an early dinner maybe happening for Sunday.
Could you repeat that again on what you were saying about Sunday in the evenings?
Again, we're not really that sure. I think maybe it wouldn't be a party per se. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe some sort of a small dinner. I don't really know. No, nothing specific that would. I don't foresee Sunday being an issue for us. I think it would be quiet. Fridays and Saturdays, I would assume, to be the for like weddings and larger events to be Saturday.
Yeah. Well, Sunday is an issue, and I think that when we write the final on this, that we should have something firm on Sunday. So if you want to give us your thoughts right now, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I think like Todd said, I mean, Fridays and Saturdays, we're definitely anticipating being busier days for us just with wedding type of events. Weekdays, I mean, and we talked about this when we were in town in February. We definitely would love to do community events, school events, holiday events during the week, but we're very comfortable, like eliminating Sundays for events altogether if that's something that the township committee feels passionately about. That's something that we would certainly be comfortable with. And then security wise, it's definitely something that we've talked about quite a bit.
Right. So I don't know at a wedding what security would be needed. I think at say like a prom, a high school prom, most certainly we would be security would be part of the deal. And again, I don't quite know how to rate that or judge that right now. Like what event would require securities and which ones wouldn't. I know that anything can happen in life or at an event, especially if people are drinking, but I don't know. I would say that,
Be prepared that that's part of our spiel when we write this.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's something that
Okay.
we could look into hiring like an outside company for. We obviously don't want you guys to feel responsible. God forbid there's any issues and having to send someone out there, but it's something that we're aware of and we're looking into what the best solution would be. It might be someone on staff that we have that'll be there throughout the duration of the event and will sort of serve as our security per se, but we're still kind of in the process of figuring that out and open to different.
Mr.
And what
Chairman,
about during the week? Times during the week, if you have events, any thoughts on that? 8, 9, 10 o'clock cutoff?
Yeah, I think so. I think for like a Friday, Saturday, 11 o'clock ending was always what we had envisioned. And during the week, obviously, would be much earlier than that. So probably like a 10 o'clock.
Right. I think to Brian's the way I think he structured it, 11 o'clock maybe the party ends, and then 12 o'clock everybody's out. Because right now the staff that will be cleaning up and then setting the place for an event to come. So there will be time lag after the party's over that our staff will be there still setting up for the next event.
Okay, that's all I have.
Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr.
Carroll.
Chairman,
Yes.
if I may,
Chuck.
as long as we're getting pretty deep into this, and those were good points, Carl. What about the ability to cook or heat up food? Are you planning on having some type of a stove, refrigeration for people who come in with this party? I mean, what about those types of amenities and things? Can you kind of touch what your vision is on that?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we are in the sort of the final round of awarding this to an architect who will actually be bringing this to life. I've done a number of sketches on my own, and there is a vision that's been sort of put down. Right now we have basically outlined a kitchen that has the potential of becoming a full-blown commercial kitchen. So that would include a freezer and a full range oven, perfect for like a wonderful chef to come in there and call it their own. Initially, though, we will be it'll be all catered and outsourced. So it'll be a catering kitchen that'll be used for caterers coming in. It'll be a full kitchen by all means, and it'll be able to do anything that a full commercial kitchen can do.
That sounds very encouraging. I like that idea. By the way, a chili cook-off on a Sunday afternoon in the community, that'd be a great idea.
That's exactly what we're
So
imagining.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay, yes.
two things regarding the security. Back 40 some years ago when I got married, we had to hire a police officer if you had over 200 people at the reception. I think there was some ordinance in the city of Racine. Is there anything like that? If you have 200 people, don't you have to have a police officer, like an officer in uniform who's on overtime? You pay him $50 or whatever the going rate was, but that would solve the security issue, wouldn't it?
Well, Kirk, I don't know about an ordinance, but let me explain one thing quickly. We have a kite festival. We have a sheriff's on site. We have 4,000 to 5,000 people. Now I know that's not.
That's huge.
They're gonna have.
I mean,
We
you're
have
gonna-
a
you're gonna-
carnival. We had a carnival. We had people on site. We had a outdoor concert. We had people on site. So there's probably it also behooves the owner to make sure they're protecting their investment. So yeah, I would think there'd be times security would be needed, but I don't know if there's an ordinance. But we do use it for some township functions.
For
I
large
guess that's my
events, yeah.
point. Yeah.
And the second thing, Carl, back to the Sunday thing. What if somebody wanted a wedding on Sunday, Carl? Is there certain things that, when you say the Sunday restriction, are you saying just a hard nothing in the afternoon, evening, or all day at all? Or would a wedding be an exception if somebody wanted to get married in the spring and this is a hot place and the Fridays and Saturdays are booked? I want to understand what's driving that, Carl, so I can decide to support it or not. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Thinking
sure. I think along with our ordinances, it says no work on Sunday with contractors. And we know we went through issues through that for years. And now they get fined if they work past a certain time, and if they work on Sunday. So it
Contractors.
is, that's correct, but this would be a contractor as well. So not saying that we
Okay.
couldn't squirt that ordinance. I just think Sunday is not a day to, like I said, I'm not saying put a kibosh to all day Sunday, but I'm, in my mind, I would think somewhere around 12 to 3, 12 to 4 max. Nothing before
Okay.
12, so I am open for a little bit. I'd like to see whoever came forward with a special land use, not even do anything on Sunday, but I wouldn't hold their feet to the fire. But
Okay, I
it's
want
something
to
we
understand
gotta-
it.
Something we got to write in ordinance.
Carl, I would agree with the 12 o'clock, but I thought the original reasoning behind contractors, i.e. construction workers. I mean, this is a building that's already going to be completed. So I think there is a difference between putting bricks on a building, on a home and pouring concrete versus a building that's already established. So
I
that's the
agree.
way
I
I
didn't,
view it.
I didn't really want to compare them, but I just think Sunday should be a quiet day. Without getting religious on you.
I respect that, Carl. I just wanted to understand it a little bit more. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, Brian, are we gonna do a public hearing, or do you need to go back and refine this?
Unmute.
Mute.
He must be muted. See, I
Nope.
never
Still
do
muted.
mute. Then I can't be muted.
There you go.
About now.
Good.
Now we got it.
It doesn't behoove us to schedule a hearing yet because we can't get in front of the board for some time. I'd rather bring this back for discussion and bring you a closer draft at the next meeting before we do that.
All right.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for that. Let's move on here to AP 20-27 Capital Improvement Program. Brian.
Thank you, Mike. We had this on the agenda last go around and it was a late addition, so we decided to bring this back as a discussion item to this meeting. And our hope is that the Planning Commission is comfortable enough with the document and the recommendations therein to forward this on to the Township Board for their September meeting. You'll notice, and I'll bring it up here on the screen. I just want to run through a couple points of emphasis, and I want to note too that Leslie prepared about half of the content in this document. So Leslie, if you want to jump in as we get to the specific sections, please feel free to do so. But we did a little bit of a graphic overhaul on the document. I think it looks nice now, but a lot of the actual content and the rating process and who we were speaking to and the meat of this document from a procedure standpoint carries over from the document that was prepared in 2017. We're utilizing the same minimum threshold of $25,000, $25,000 for a capital improvement project. And I do want to note there are several members of the board who think that for the next go round, that value might need to be bumped up a bit higher than that. So we'll keep that in mind for moving forward towards next years. We've focused the document on 7 program areas: the buildings and equipment needed, fire department, the DDA, Parks and Rec, roads and intersections, sanitary, and water. So, and then we've defined potential funding sources that could be applied to each one of the projects. You see an updated map of the projects that are included in here. I walked through with Supervisor Dolan to talk about the building and equipment needs of the township. This list has really shrunk down from the last project. A lot of things have been completed, and just a few large items have been added. Most notable being the Township Hall addition, which we anticipate would get started here in the coming months. Again, in terms of the rankings for these projects, even the carryover projects that have not been accomplished from the previous capital improvements program from 2017, I re-reviewed the rankings to ensure that nothing has changed. In some instances, minor modifications have been made, but in general, what we found is the high priority things have come off the list and the low priority things remain on the list in a lot of instances. So some of our equipment replacements, things like that, just have not been accomplished yet. I want to use this as an opportunity to say that this $30,000 that we're budgeting for pickup truck and SUV replacements, those are the things that this particular board member was hoping to get rid of from the CIP process. Those are regular equipment items that a department budget typically would handle. So if we bump that up, we're really only talking about capital investments to large structures for this project, or for this section of the plan. Anything specific you want to deal with on the DDA projects, Leslie?
No, nothing really in particular, unless the Planning Commission has questions. Many of the projects were in the CIP before. There's a large floodplain that affects the fourth leg of the ring road, and that's part of the reason why that has not been constructed. That's actually the main reason, and that's tributary to the new Hudson drain. So but I'm happy to answer any questions as we go through these if the Planning Commission has them.
We worked with Chief. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'll let you done.
Okay. We worked with the fire chief to refine the fire department projects. So these have been updated. Things like roof replacements and replacements of some of the smaller vehicles remain on this list from the last plan. We are adding, you'll note that some of these items like the air packs we're anticipating are going to be paid by a grant through FEMA. So they've been able to secure some outside funding for some of their projects. I worked with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board to update the Parks and Rec related projects. And you'll see that kind of we've rearranged this list a little bit from the last plan, and that instead of the previous plan broke out all 4 phases of 11 Mile Park, I've minimized that or combined them into a single element. Given that we're not likely to see a lot of action on that in the very near future. But we broke out 3 phases of the Huron Valley Trail renovations. So we know that the Township Board is interested in pursuing at least phase 1 this year with at least conceptually hoping that the other 2 could be completed in the coming years. But things like Safety Town are still on here. The Trailhead Park is still on here. The Parks and Rec Board asked that we add historic preservation acquisition. And we've got an undefined budget for this, but the sentiment was if we could acquire and it not cost ongoing maintenance dollars to the township, something like Peter's Barn that could be utilized by the entire township, that it would be beneficial to do so. Again, only if it's a net positive or a net neutral for the township. And then a long-term goal would be to upgrade and construct a community center was their other big addition to this. Again, that project is not really defined in terms of specifics on size or anything like that, but it is something that they wanted to get on the long range horizon for Parks and Rec related activities. We've updated the parks path and sidewalk inventory with help from Trustee Enlow and Leslie's team, as well as updating based on recent development projects that have been approved with a commitment to build any sections of the bike path. We've updated the drawings that are included in here for the most recent version of the park plan and had some carryover from previous projects. In terms of road and intersection projects, again, this is one that I spoke with Supervisor Dolan on, and a lot of these are crossing elements off. The last program had, I believe, 18 projects included in them, and a lot have been taken off. So what remains are largely carryovers or things that are to be accomplished in the very, very near future. Again, I'll turn water system over to Leslie if she has anything specific to add for water and sewer.
Really, the sewer hasn't changed much since the previous update. The water, we did add several projects from talking at it at a committee level, talking about the different needs of the township. There are numerous mains that still need to be extended to loop the system, and we have an overall loop, but there's some sub loops that would be good for redundancy purposes as the township has grown. But again, happy to answer any questions you have specifically about any of the projects, and but that's all I have really.
Okay, and you see her updated maps have been dropped in there as well. The last piece that I see is not included here is we intend to provide a list of all of the projects that have been completed out of each one of these categories and keep a running total so that this is a document that shows that we're making progress. So what I have done, or what I will make sure gets included before this goes to the board, is a list of all of those things that we've taken care of. And I will get a year put on there as well, so we can keep track of those. With that, that's the end of the CIP. If you're comfortable with this document, we do want to try to get it in front of the board in the coming months. I know it's tentatively on the board agenda for September, in hopes that the Planning Commission takes a recommending action this evening. And we're happy to help answer any questions to get you there.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Leslie, Carl, why don't you start us?
Okay, great job. It's a lot of compiling of information. Looks great. No surprises for me. Kind of figured that they were looking for some property for Engine 3. The only thing that I have, and I really mean this in the nicest way, so correct me if I'm wrong or in the wrong area, but I mean, it's really well done. I feel when I'm reading it that the water system project should be completely separate from the SIP for everything else. And I don't know, I'm not an engineer, Leslie will tell me, but I think it's probably even required that it's done, and it's done separately. And maybe they're going to be separated. I just get this weird feeling when I'm reading it that the sewer system projects, and because they're funded by the users, a lot of these projects. So if I had a comment, it would be, should we separate what's paid for by the users and what actually is a capital improvement for just the township? Because our citizens look at those as tax dollars, and somebody that's not on the sewer system like I am would raise a red flag for me. So I think it's really well done, and I had that question, and I had to bring it tonight. So well done. So if somebody could answer that question, that'd be great.
Well, I think it's good to have an overall, in a way, these are kind of goals too of projects that our committees would like to see accomplished. Maybe it would make sense to explain that the water and sewer projects are paid for by the Sewer Enterprise Fund. We could always expand on that too. So that way people understand that, you know, if they're on the system, that's what really pays for these improvements.
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it, and I think it should be explained that way, or either that or separated. I mean, they whether it goes to budget or not in 3 categories or 2 categories or 1 category, it really doesn't matter. It still is going to budget. So, I mean, if you guys, the executive team, would just look at it and make a decision, I'm ready to move it forward. It just raised a red flag for me. I think you guys did a really good job.
Carl,
Thanks, Carl.
and thank you for that. One of the, actually in the Planning Enabling Act, it calls out specifically if you do own and operate your own water and or sewer, the CIP document is the place for it. So I think what you and Leslie just worked out is probably the best solution there, is to really highlight that they are paid outside of the general fund. So.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Kurt?
Agree with Carl. I can see a lot of hours in the document. Everything's at our fingertips. It's well organized. Carl, that was a good point. That would help people that maybe see that, you know, our citizens would be looking at this and maybe asking questions. No, excellent work. Thanks.
Thanks, Kurt. Ron?
Yeah, I feel the same way. It looks great. It's always interesting to me to read through it and see all the projects going on and what we got going. Good job.
Very good. Mr. Hoffman?
Yeah, I think the document is outstanding. It's precise. It's really what we really needed. I just enjoy reading it. It looks so professional and crisp and informative, and I think it's exactly what we needed. Good job, guys. Really, really well done.
Okay, good. Thank you. What is, can someone explain to me, Safety Town? I realize businesses are mostly paying for it, but is that a mandated project?
No, if Patty were here tonight, she would give you the half-hour version because it gets her so excited. Safety Town is, well, between her and John Bell, they both love Safety Town, but it's a concept where it's basically a town for kids. You've got a small post office and a fire station and police station, but miniaturized scale. All of the sidewalks are designed to look like streets. So it's an interactive town where you can, they've got made up intersections so you can teach kids how to navigate an intersection, things like that. That all get incorporated in.
It says businesses are mostly paying for that. Is that, I mean, to me, it seems like just a feel-good project, but you know, that's.
Well, it is. I think the thought is that the businesses would sponsor a building. And if you can get 20, 30 different sponsored buildings with some branding in there, that helps them out, helps us pay for the infrastructure of the facility and things like that.
Okay. And what about the Ring Road? Is there a sidewalk? And this is probably, don't even bring it up now, but there's going to be a sidewalk on that last leg of the Ring Road?
Yes.
On what, north or south side?
I thought we included it on both sides of the road in our estimate.
Okay.
I'd have to double check that though. It's been a while since we've.
Okay, just curious, because we don't have sidewalks on the south side of the Ring Road when you're by Lowe's or Walmart.
No, there isn't, and that was allowed in that plan development. But if you continue south of there,
yeah,
where
south
the
from
township finished, they're
right.
on both sides of the road.
Right, true. But
so the township projects were done with sidewalks on both sides of the road.
Okay, all right. Very good. Mr. Chuck?
Yeah, I won't be redundant. It's done. You know, I think this is my third one, but it's my second CIP for sure. And it was very easy to understand. I like the part where the revenue source was going to come from, or the money. I think you guys laid it out really nice. So really, that's all I had to say. Yeah, I'm ready to move it forward too.
All right. Who's going to make a motion?
Well, I'm in the dark. I can't even read it right now.
I'll try. I'll make a motion to approve AP-20-27-2020 capital improvement document forward to our board.
Recommend to the board. Recommend approval to the board.
Recommend approval to the board. Thank you, Carl.
Support.
Or Carl, whatever.
Who supported?
I did.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Radke, support of Mr. Town. Any other comments? Kelly, take roll, please.
Yep. Stefan Hoffman,
Yes.
Michael Confetti,
Yes.
Jim Chuck,
Yes.
Ron Pennington,
Yes.
Kurt Radke,
Yes.
Carl Town.
Yes.
All right, very good. New business, AP 20-31, 9 Mile Road Water Tower Site Plan Amendment. Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be brief on this one. This is a proposed amendment to the 9 Mile Water Tower site at the corner of Griswold and 9 Mile Road, southeast corner. Shown on the plans is the existing water tower that was just completed, as well as the bulk watering station. What we have found is that, or what Artisan has proposed to the township board is future proofing of the system. Essentially, we're at a point where we're comfortable with the max loads in the water system, max demands on the water system, but with continued growth, it makes sense to at least plan for and get the infrastructure up while we have the money to provide a storage tank for the water system. To do so, the plan is to install a 2 million gallon ground level water tank at this location, as well as a booster pump house. So both of those structures are within the plans that you see. We have no concerns in terms of setbacks or building design, the use of the property. All of those are appropriate. So from a zoning perspective, this is a plan that does need to come before the Planning Commission for approval, but as an essential service for the township, and as we think it makes a lot of sense to combine all of these onto a single site. So we are in support of the project from a zoning standpoint. No concerns on our end.
Thanks, Brian. Leslie?
We're recommending approval of the site plan. As Brian mentioned, this is an essential service. It is needed in the township, right, hopefully before next season. So the site is available, the township owns it, and it's appropriate. The board also approved the location for the tower, or the ground storage tower. So I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
When are we going to get a tour? We've been promised that for 2 years now.
Well, I'm sure all you have to do is contact John Dolan, and he would make those arrangements.
All right. Thank you. Lisa, anything to add?
Nothing to add for this one.
All right. All right. Anyone have comments? Questions?
Short putt.
This would be a motion to recommend to the board.
Yeah, I'd make a
This
motion.
would be just site plan approval this evening.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the site plan for AP-20-31, the 9 Mile tower storage, 2 million gallon tank. It meets all the setbacks. It meets all the requirements in the zoning ordinance, and that would be my motion.
I'll support
Move it on.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Town, support by Mr. Chuck. Any other comments? All right. Kelly, take roll, please.
Yep. Kurt Radke,
Yes.
Ron Pennington,
Yes.
Carl Town,
Yes.
Jim Chuck,
Yeah.
Yes.
Stefan Hoffman,
Yeah.
Michael Conflitti.
Yes. All right, very good. Let's see, Patricia, no report tonight. Brian, you have anything for us?
I don't have anything of note this evening.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr.
Turn the
Chairman,
page.
before we adjourn, I just have a quick question for Leslie.
Jim, I can barely see you.
That's all right. You know, it's my voice. Yeah, here's my light. Leslie, the question I have, all that infrastructure in the southeast corner, is it completed pretty much down there now? 8 Mile Napier?
No,
Okay. They've
They're
done a
still
lot of
working on
work,
it.
though, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, some sections are completed and operational, but not the entire project.
Okay. I drive by it a lot, and I did see there was a lot of work that was accomplished, but I didn't know what was left to go. So thank you.
Sure.
Catherine said we'll probably have Zoom through October, is what she's estimating.
Probably.
But, all right.
Who's zooming who?
Anything else? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
motion and support. Kelly, take roll.
Carl Town,
Yes.
Jim Chuck,
Yes.
Michael Conflitti,
Yes.
Ron Pennington,
Yes.
Stefan Hoffman,
Yes.
Kurt Radke.
Yes.
All right,
By
very
the
good.
way, Mr. Chairman, you didn't ask me tonight, but I was, honest to God, strike me dead. I was going to say 9:10.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See
Okay.
everybody. Have a good
I'm
night.
usually pretty close.
Yes. All right. We'll give it to you this time.
Thank you. See you in 2
All right.
weeks.
Night, everybody.
No
Good
party.
night, everybody.
I know.
Take care, everyone.
Okay. Brian, you're all set to shut us down?